Gather round, friends, and lend an ear to the embers of the unexplained. Percy Hawthorne here, your guide through the dusty archives of the extraordinary. Tonight's file, pulled from the shelves marked Echoes at Area 51. Crackles with desert heat, the ozone tang of forbidden technology, and the palpable tremor of a soul crying out from the dark. It's a tale not just of infiltration, but of resonance and the desperate flight that follows when the universe itself whispers a warning. Settle in. The desert night is vast, and our story begins just beyond the barbed wire, beyond the coiled razor, wire glinting under the pitiless Nevada moon. The landscape felt less like Earth and more like a graveyard for secrets. Groom Lake, a vast, silent basin under a dome of stars unnaturally clear, held its breath. Gabriel Sterling stood motionless, his gaze fixed on the distant, indistinct shapes of the main complex. The desert wind, cold and sharp despite the day's lingering heat, tugged at his dark hair, salt and peppered the temples. He wasn't seeing runways or hangars. He was feeling. A low thrum vibrated through the soles of his worn boots, a synthetic heartbeat from deep underground. But beneath that fainter, desperate, a discordant note, a psychic shiver of profound isolation and terror that scraped against his empathic senses like rusty wire. Still getting the symphony of despair, Professor? Milo Hart materialized beside him, a wiry silhouette against the indigo sky. He adjusted the too large tactical vest over his faded, I want to believe, in free refills t-shirt, his eyes wide and scanning the horizon with unnatural intensity, missing nothing. His usual manic energy was tamped down, replaced by a coiled alertness that hummed just below the surface. More like a solo performance, Gabriel murmured, his voice low and gravelly. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the emotional landscape wash over him. It's concentrated, deep underground, not human. Panic, yes, but also a profound sense of displacement, like a bird trapped in a lead cage. He opened his eyes, the quiet force of his presence anchoring the restless night. It knows we're coming, or at least it hopes someone is. Hope's good, Milo breathed, flashing a quick, nervous grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. He tapped his temple. Cosmic intuition's mostly quiet tonight, just a low-level buzz like bad fluorescent lighting, which, considering where we're going, is probably standard. He pulled two laminated badges from an inner pocket, their holographic seals glinting dully. One bore the stern visage of a man named D. Riggs, Security Level 7, now Gabriel's temporary identity. Milo's own badge, T. Finch Maintenance Tech, featured a photo where Milo's attempt at a stern expression looked more like indigestion, courtesy of that lovely, paranoid gentleman whose briefcase accidentally fell open near my coffee cart last week. Let's hope facial recognition is having an off night. The infiltration was a nerve-shredding ballet performed in near silence. They skirted motion sensors disguised as desert scrub, their path illuminated only by the starlight and Milo's unerringly precise recall of the base's blueprints acquired through methods Gabriel preferred not to dwell on. They bypassed a roving patrol, Milo instinctively pulling Gabriel into the deep shadow of a dormant ground-penetrating radar array seconds before headlights swept the area. Gabriel felt the guard's bored vigilance like a low drone, easily ignored compared to the insistent, terrified pull emanating from below. Their point of entry was a nondescript service hatch, half buried in sand near a disused antenna farm. Milo worked the electronic lock with a device that looked suspiciously like a modified espresso machine portafilter, muttering under his breath about government contractors and their predictable encryption preferences. With a soft hiss, the hatch swung open, revealing a steep ladder descending into humming, sterilely lit darkness. The air that rushed up was cold, filtered, smelling of ozone lubricant, and something else, something faintly organic and unsettlingly alien. Down the rabbit hole, Milo whispered, his usual bravado replaced by genuine awe and apprehension. Hope they have decent coffee down there. The descent felt endless. The vibrations Gabriel had sensed above intensified, becoming a physical pressure in his chest. The sterile white corridors they emerged into were vast, eerily quiet save for the omnipresent hum of machinery and climate control. Massive blast doors lined the walls, leading to unknowable projects. Milo navigated with uncanny certainty, his photographic memory overlaying the sterile reality with the stolen schematics. Left here, past the cryogenics lab, right at the decontamination arch that looked suspiciously like a car wash. Gabriel moved like a shadow beside him, his senses stretched taut. He felt the residual exhaustion of late-shift technicians, the sharp focus of patrolling guards, the cold, calculating ambition radiating from an office 3 levels up. But overriding it all, pulling him like a lodestone, was the source of that profound, alien despair. It grew stronger, more urgent, with every step deeper into the complex's heart. They reached a massive hangar door, dwarfing the others. It bore no markings, only a complex keypad and retinal scanner. This was it, the epicenter of the psychic tremor. Gabriel pressed a hand against the cool metal. The wave of anguish and trapped intelligence that hit him was almost physical. He staggered slightly. "Whoa, Gabe. You okay?" Milo was instantly at his side, his hand on Gabriel's arm, genuine concern replacing his usual flippancy. "It's immense," Gabriel gasped, forcing himself upright. "More than just fear. Intelligence. Longing. It's aware of us. Aware we're close. It feels like a drowning creature seeing a life raft." He focused, his cryptologic mind analyzing the emotional signature, translating the raw feeling into intent. It wants freedom, not destruction. Just out. Milo's eyes narrowed, not looking at Gabriel, but staring unfocused into the middle distance. His knuckles whitened on Gabriel's arm. "Life raft might be leaving sooner than we thought," he hissed, his voice tight with sudden, visceral dread. Cosmic intuition just kicked in, hard, like a sledgehammer to the gut. Incoming, high yield, precision strike. Drones, targeting this hangar. Soon, very soon. The sterile air turned instantly frigid. The hum of the bass seemed to sharpen into a scream. The aliens' desperate hope collided violently with Milo's chilling premonition. They weren't just racing to free a captive. They were racing its execution. "Override it," Gabriel commanded, his voice low and urgent, all professors stripped away, leaving only the operative. Now Milo didn't hesitate. His fingers flew over the keypad, inputting a sequence derived from cross-referencing stolen access logs, guard shift patterns, and the base commander's surprisingly predictable coffee order, quad shot vanilla latte, extra hot. He held up a small, mirror device towards a retinal scanner. The red light blinked, scanned, and turned green. The massive doors began to slide apart with a ground-shaking rumble. The sight within stole their breath. The hangar was cavernous, bathed in the harsh, actinic glare of industrial lights. Dominating the center wasn't a sleek, silver flying saucer, but something far more unsettling. It resembled a colossal, obsidian sea urchin, its surface not smooth metal, but a shifting, fractal lattice that seemed to absorb the light. Tendrils of dark energy, or perhaps impossibly advanced cabling, pulsed faintly within its core, visible through translucent sections of the hull. It wasn't parked. It seemed to hover a fraction of an inch above a complex network of energy conduits embedded in the floor. The air crackled with static, and Gabriel felt the raw, alien intelligence within the vessel like a physical force, a mind vast and ancient, radiating waves of fear, pain, and now a flicker of desperate, directed hope aimed squarely at him. But before they could move, klaxons blared, shattering the relative silence. Red emergency lights began strobing. Milo flinched as if struck. They know. Perimeter breach triggered. And the drones... Gabe, they're minutes out. Maybe less. We need an exit. Now. Panic threatened to choke Gabriel, but the alien's focused desperation acted as an anchor. He closed his eyes, blocking out the blaring alarms, the strobing lights, Milo's frantic energy. He reached out with his empathy, not just to the alien consciousness, but to the structure itself, the flow of energy, the hidden pathways. He felt the cold indifference of the security protocols, the frantic pulse of human response, and then, like a whisper, the subtle pull of moving air high above. A service duct? A ventilation shaft leading upwards? Rooftop? Gabriel snapped his eyes open, pointing towards a gantry crane system near the hangar's far wall. That crane leads to maintenance access. Up there. Fast. They sprinted across the hangar floor, the alien vessel looming beside them like a silent, wounded god. Gabriel felt its consciousness tracking them, a silent plea urging them on. Reaching the gantry, they scrambled up the metal ladder. The klaxons of physical assault. Milo reached the access hatch first, wrenching it open. Cool night air rushed in, a stark contrast to the hangar's sterile chill. They tumbled out onto the vast, flat expanse of the hangar roof. The Nevada night sky exploded around them, not with stars, but with light. Neon-bright beams swept the tarmac and surrounding desert. Deep crimson, electric blue, blinding white, from unseen projectors mounted on towers. It was disorienting, turning the rooftop into a stage under a chaotic, multicolored spotlight. The low thrum of powerful engines vibrated the roof, growing louder, more menacing. Distant, angular shapes, sleek, predatory drones, materialized against the stars, their navigation lights winking like malevolent eyes as they banked toward the hangar. Told you. Milo yelled over the rising engine whine, scanning the roof with frantic intensity. No time for subtle. We need wings, Gabe. Actual flying wings. Gabriel's gaze swept the illuminated rooftop. His nature attunement screamed. The drones were death incarnate, their targeting systems coldly efficient. But amidst the sterile structures, his empathy snagged on something else. Something alive. Not biological life, but a resonance. A prototype, parked near the roof's edge, half covered by a tarp. It was unlike anything he'd seen. A sleek, matte black delta shape, small, cockpit barely large enough for one, with no visible propulsion. He felt a hum from it. Not mechanical, but almost elemental. A captured piece of the sky itself, yearning to be free. There, he pointed. That craft. It feels responsive, like it wants to fly. Milo didn't question it. He sprinted toward the prototype, yanking off the tarp. Looks like someone's experimental joyride. Hope it is keys or a really big on button. He clambered into the single cockpit, his fingers dancing over unfamiliar controls. Gabe? Little help? This dashboard looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. Gabriel reached the craft, placing a hand on its dark fuselage. He closed his eyes, pushing past his own fear, reaching for the resonance he felt. It was a complex pattern, a language of energy flow and gravitational manipulation. His cryptologic mind, honed on human and alien codes alike, began to decipher it. Left panel, he shouted over the nearing drone whine. Top right toggle. That's the primary field generator. Sequence, down, up, down, hold for 3 seconds. Milo followed the instructions with frantic precision. The craft hummed, a deep, resonant vibration that Gabriel felt in his bones. Lights flickered across the console. It's powering up, but the engine thingy, nothing. Not an engine. Gabriel yelled, deciphering the pattern flowing through the craft. It's a field manipulator, like the alien vessel. Think intention. Think up. Focus, Milo. Where do we need to go? Milo stared at the controls, then out at the approaching drones, their weapons pods glowing ominously. His photographic memory superimposed the base layout, the surrounding desert, escape routes. His cosmic intuition screamed a vector. Northwest, towards Papoose Mountain, low and fast through the canyons. They'll hesitate to fire into restricted airspace over the ranges. He gripped the controls, shut his eyes for a split second, and poured every ounce of his will, his desperate need to escape northwest, into the craft. Gabriel did the same beside him, amplifying the intention, feeding the resonant field with their shared desperation. The response was instantaneous and terrifying. The craft didn't roar, it silenced. The world dropped away as a bubble of distorted gravity enveloped them. With a lurch that punched the breath from their lungs, the prototype shot vertically upwards like a stone from a slingshot, then arced violently northwest, mere meters above the hangar roof. Twin energy bolts, searing white lines of plasma, sizzled through the space they had occupied a heartbeat before, vaporizing a section of the roof edge. They were flying, or rather, falling with terrifying control. The neon light streaked below them in chaotic ribbons as Milo wrestled with the controls, not physically but mentally, his intention battling the craft's raw, untamed response. Gabriel clung to the fuselage, his empathy stretched to its limits. He felt the alien intelligence below, a surge of something, not joy, relief, a fierce, focused burst of energy directed upwards. The drone screamed after them, impossibly fast. More plasma bolts lanced past, illuminating the desert floor rushing by in a blur of sand and scrub. Milo jinked the craft instinctively, guided by premonitions that flashed through his mind a fraction of a second before the drones fired. Left! Now! Dive! Dive! He yelled, moored himself in Gabriel. They skimmed the canyon wall, the dark rock flashing past inches away. Gabriel felt the alien's energy intensify, a final concentrated pulse aimed not at them, but at the pursuing drones. It wasn't an attack. It was a disruption, a wave of pure, disorienting resonance. Two drones wobbled violently. Their targeting systems momentarily scrambled, colliding midair in a silent blossom of fire that briefly lit the canyon. The others faltered, their relentless pursuit broken. It was the opening they needed. Milo pushed the mental throttle, pouring his will into speed and low. The prototype shot forward, hugging the canyon floor like a shadow, leaving the remaining drones scrambling to reacquire. They streaked through the labyrinthine ravines, the neon glow of Area 51 fading behind them, replaced by the vast, silent darkness of Nevada wilderness. Only when immediate, bone-deep thrum of danger from Milo's intuition finally subsided to a dull ache did Milo dare level out slightly. The craft hummed steadily, responding to his mental touch with less violence. Gabriel slumped against the fuselage, exhaustion hitting him like a physical blow, the residual echoes of terror, both human and alien, slowly receding. What was that pulse? Milo panted, sweat plastering his hair to his forehead despite the cool air whipping past. Felt like the universe hiccuped. The captive, Gabriel said, his voice hoarse. It helped us. It disrupted the drones. A final act before the strike hit. He closed his eyes, reaching back with his empathy across the desert miles. He felt it then. A vast, silent detonation deep underground, not a fire, but collapsing energy fields and extinguished consciousness. A wave of profound, final sorrow washed over him, so intense it brought tears to his eyes. The echo wasn't just a destruction, it was of a noble sacrifice. The entity hadn't just wanted freedom, it had chosen to ensure theirs. Milo was silent for a long moment, navigating by starlight, the craft surprisingly stable now. It died free, he finally said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. In a way, it chose. Gabriel nodded, unable to speak, the weight of the alien's final moments settling on him. They flew on in silence, the stolen craft carrying them away from the neon-lit graveyard of secrets, the desert night vast and strangely peaceful around them. The only sound was the wind, the hum of the impossible machine, and the fading echoes of soul that had touched theirs across the void. The crackle of the fireplace returns, softer now. The piano notes linger, resolving into a single mournful chord. And so, the ledger on this particular strangeness closes. For now, Gabriel and Milo escaped the neon jaws of Groom Lake, borne aloft on stolen wings that defied explanation, carrying the weight of an alien sacrifice. What became of that experimental craft? Returned discreetly? Or does it hum quietly in a hidden hangar of their own? The fate of the entity within Area 51 is sealed in fire and silence, yet its final act, a burst of disruptive resonance born of desperate compassion, echoes still. Remember, friends, the universe hums with more mysteries than answers. Keep your eyes open to the night sky, your mind curious about the whispers on the wind, and perhaps carry a spare coffee for a friend. You never know when a cosmic intuition might need fueling. This is Percy Hawthorne, reminding you, the archive is never truly complete. Some echoes fade, but others resonate forever. Good night.